just a minute. Okay, and the meeting is being recorded. Okay. So my name is Brendan Bowles, and I've been working with John Rowley on evaluation and monitoring for a year or two now. And most of that work has been working with Excel and with data. And Mim asked me if I would share some of the lessons about how to use Excel and with the data in some sessions online. Now, I don't have a lot of experience for working online with multiple people. So if it begins to go wrong, please tell me if I'm going too fast or too slow, or if you cannot see what I am talking about, please let me know. Okay, time is short, so we will get started. I will share a screen to start with, and we'll get on with it. I think what you are seeing is a PowerPoint beginning. Is that right?
That is right.
Okay, then we will start the PowerPoint actually running. Can you still see that? It should say data. What is it and why do we need it?
Yeah, we can see it, Brendan, as the two screens, not as just one.
It's presenter.
Okay, let me see what I can do about that. No, that I don't think. Can you see one slide now?
No, two.
Okay, I'll try a different screen share.
It's in presenter mode, I think.
Okay, how about that?
That's it.
Yes.
That's better. Okay, let's see if we can do that. So, data, what is it and why do we need it? Now, I'm hoping that we have time for everything in 1 hour, but we have other sessions. If we finish very quickly, then we can ask lots of questions. Data is just information. Now, I do not know who I am speaking to. It may be that you are all great experts, in which case, much of what I say will be very simple today. Or it may be that everyone has different experience and some are good at one thing and some are good at another. So I hope that everyone will learn something, but today is just a beginning. And if it is too easy for you, well, we will make it more complicated in future times. So data is information. It may be personal names. It may be other names like places. It may be reference numbers. It is often dates. When you're dealing with, in education, it is often the results of tests, test scores. It may be comments. This girl has left. This girl has been ill, or whatever. It may be registration records to say whether a girl or not has been in school. Why do we need this information? Why does Crane need this information? Well, we need it to help the girls. It is not just administration for the sake of administration. It's because this helps the girls in their education. It may be that we need to identify the girls to know, is this the same girl does this data relate to the same girl as this other piece of data? It may help us to communicate with the girls or with members of the school. It may help us to provide support if the girl has been absent and need to go and find her. It may help to measure progress. Has this girl done better this year than last year? And if so, how much progress has she made? That might be when we are looking at test scores. Can anyone suggest other reasons why you might use it, why Crane needs data to help the girls? Can you still hear me?
We can hear you, so hoping people will unmute. That's better for recording than putting in the chat.
Okay.
Okay, I think one of the reasons why we might need data is to compare the performance of girls or their progress in the various centers.
A good point. Yes, to compare the different centers. Thank you.
And maybe just to create groups of girls by category, like centers could be one, but other categories as well.
Water, just water. Thank you very much. Yes, that would those are good reasons. But in order for that to work, the data must be accurate and it must be reliable. If the data is not accurate and reliable, then all the good purposes that we need the data for, we cannot do them. So how does Crane manage data? How does it get its data, and how does it use it? You're all familiar with part of this process, at least. Well, first of all, it actually has to collect the data. That's often done actually in the schools, or it might be on a tablet. If it's done on a tablet, then it's uploaded and then it's downloaded by somebody else. Very often when the data comes down, when you've downloaded it, it's not in the way, it's not in the form that you would like it to be. So you have to clean the data, and this can be a big job. You may also need to anonymize it. For some purposes, you need to take the names out so that no one can find out about the girls who should not know. When the data is clean, you actually need to do the analysis to look and see what it is telling you. Then you need to report on it, often for funders or to tell the schools how they are doing. You have to say what the data is telling you. So that might be in terms of graphs or statistics, or it might be in a big report. Then you need, well, this happens all the time. You need to double check your data. It is very easy to make mistakes in the data. And if you do make mistakes, when I say you, I mean me, when we make mistakes in data, then the conclusions we draw will be wrong. So we have to check and double check the data as we work with it. And as I said, different people will work on different stages. And as we go through this training today and other days, we will look at those different stages and some different techniques and processes we use to make that work well. You'll be familiar that the collecting and uploading and downloading is, most of it is done in Kobo Collect and through Carrot and other forms. And so we will be looking at some stage at Kobo Collect. Most of the rest of it is done in Excel. And that's what I'm going to start looking at today. This is our workhorse. This is what we use for almost all the cleaning and presenting and reporting of the data. So what are the main types of data in Excel? Most of you will have seen data in Excel, and it can look very different. There can be many different types of column. But there are two main broad types of data in Excel. And the first is text. Can you still hear me, everybody?
Yes, we can.
Okay. And the screen is coming through okay?
Yep.
Okay, so the first main type of data in Excel is text. Now, text can look quite different. It's all text. It may be the name of a place, a single word, a mixture of uppercase and lowercase letters. It may be more than one word. Here is a girl's name. Maybe just one small word, all in lowercase. All these things are still text, and we'll see how this can be dealt with in a few moments. This is also text. It's not a word. It's a very complicated reference number. It's an identity number from a row of data in Excel. But it's still just one letter, one symbol, one character after the other. It's still just text. And Excel treats all of these as text. Text can have punctuation. Here there's a full stop and an apostrophe. Just one character after another. Now this is a bit surprising. This looks like a date. Well, it is a date. It's today's date. But in this particular case, Excel is holding it as just a piece of text, a character for 4, then a character for the /, then a character 2, then a character /, then a 2, then a 0, then a 2, then a 2. And this gives us a problem in Excel sometimes when something that looks like a date does not behave like a date. And we'll be looking at that shortly. Here is a similar case. This looks like a number, but in this column, Excel is treating it, because it has been told to treat it, as a piece of text, just the 8 character, then the 6 character, the 7 character, then another 7. So it's not, although it looks like a number, it won't behave like a number because it's in a column which is devoted to text, or in a cell which is devoted to text. The other main type of data in Excel are numbers. Numbers come in all shapes and sizes, and they can look very different. So this number is just 1458, 1458. That's what you'd expect a number to look like in Excel. Or it might be a decimal number. You may not come across these, but if you're looking at the learning test scores, you will often come across decimal numbers. It might be a 0. It might be a big number. Now notice in this case, it's putting commas every 3 characters. The reason it's doing that is because it has been told to do it for that particular cell. You can tell Excel how to present the numbers. It may be a number may represent an amount of money, in which case it can look like this with a dollar. And here's that date again. But this time it's actually a number, and it's a date that behaves like a date. We'll look at the difference between those in a minute. And here's that same number from the text column, but this time it is a proper number. It's a genuine number. Now, this question of whether data is in the form of text or whether it is a number is at the heart of quite a lot of the problems we have when we're cleaning data. Sometimes we are trying to clean data when we think it is a number, but actually it is a text, and so we can't get it to behave the way that we want. Or it may be the other way around, that we think it's text, but actually it's a number. And then when we try and edit it, it behaves differently to what we expect. So we'll have a look at these things in the first place, in a moment or two, about how we deal with these separate things. But here's a first question. What's the first thing you can look at to be able to tell whether something is a number or a text? Any suggestions? I know what I'm thinking of in my mind, but I see that it may not be easy from afar. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we
Okay.
can.
Okay. The first thing to look at to know whether something is text or number is whether it goes down the left-hand side of the column, like the text column does here, or whether it goes down the right-hand side of the column, like the numbers do here. That's the first clue. Now, of course, Excel can change where it puts the number if you tell it to, and it can change where it puts the text. But the natural way of Excel is to put text on the left of the cells and to put numbers on the right of the cells. So that's that. If I'm looking at text and number, that's the first thing that I will look at. Now, we're now going to move to look at Excel to see how the data looks there, so that we can work on the Excel together and see how some changes can be made. Okay, so I'm going to stop this share and do a different screen share. We're going to move to Excel. I hope. Okay. I hope you're now looking at main types of data in Excel. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
That is working. I'm smiling because that has worked so far. Now, these are very similar to what we were looking at before. Here are here are the main types of data in Excel, and we're actually looking at an Excel spreadsheet now. What can we do with data that is in the form of text? Well, we can change the way it looks. So if I look at this Uganda, I can make it bold. I hope that has come bold. It may be that we can make the letters bigger or smaller. Let's make these ones smaller. Or we can make them much bigger. Or we can go back to about the same that it was before. We can change the position of the text in the cell. Now, I'm showing you what we can do here, but I'm not really teaching you how to do it, because I'm assuming is this something you already know, or would you like me to go through how to explain how these changes are made?
I think you can assume we know.
Okay, good. Now, the difference is you can say lots of different types of things here. Even a space can be text, or a number can be text, and here are the CRNs. It's got this little green triangle in the corner, and if we click on here, it'll actually tell us there's a problem going on. It says the number is stored as text, and it offers us the opportunity, if we want, to convert it to a number. So a simple way of changing a piece of text that looks like a number into a number is to select it, go to this warning, and then click on convert number, and it's now changed it to a number. It's still put on the right-hand side of the left-hand side of the cell, but it is a number now, and it behaves as a number. But you can't do very much with text in Excel. They're useful for labels and for that kind of data, but it's numbers are have more versatility. Now, the way we make numbers look different or behave differently is with this formatting. Now, you're probably very familiar with a lot of it. If we try and apply the number formatting to text, nothing really happens. So if we try and turn it to currency, the only one that responds is the one that's the number there, the CRN at the bottom. We'll take that back to general. But if we look at how the numbers behave, then we can do many things with them. We could turn this 1458 into currency, and now it's £1,458 and no pence. Or we could turn it into a short date, the 28th of December, 1903. It's still the same number, but we've now formatted it as a date. We could turn it into a time. It wouldn't know what to do with the time, but it can become a time. It can become a percentage. It's the same underlying number. So knowing how to change the format of numbers without changing the underlying number itself, this is done with this formatting box up here on the ribbon. So all these different types of numbers, whole numbers, well, let's go back to having that as a general. With decimals, we can choose how many decimal places are on show. And as always, there's lots of different ways in Excel to do this. I could increase the number of decimal places. And I'm working all the time in this section of the ribbon up here, which is labeled number. Or I can reduce the number of decimal places. With a 0, there's not much you can do with it, except sometimes you can choose not to show zeros, and it will look like a blank when it's actually a 0. So we could say, do we want to show the blanks? Oh, it's not going to let me do that. Okay. Big numbers can have commas in, or they cannot. It's your choice. With currencies, you can choose how it displays. Now, the normal way of showing currency is with a currency symbol on the left, and you can see it changes the way the position of the number is. It doesn't come right up against the right-hand side. We're looking more about dates in a moment, but a date, at the moment, you can see that it's formatted as a date. But if we format it as a general number, you can see that the number is 44596. It's just a number. It's actually the number of days since the 1st of January, 1900. That's how many days there have been since the beginning of last century. And that's how Excel stores a date. It counts the days. But that's not very helpful for us when we're looking at it. So it formats it as the 4th day of the 2nd month in the year 2022. We'll look at more about formatting dates in a minute. With CRNs, that is the Crane reference numbers, 6 figures, this is held as a number usually. Sometimes it's more convenient if we treat it as a text. But for the moment, this one is held as just as a number. Okay, now that's just a very brief overview of the main types of data in Excel. And so long as the types of data are kept separate, that avoids quite a lot of the problems that we otherwise might come across. Now we're going to look at some of the problems that we might have, that we do come across in the data. And the first thing we're going to look at is date problems. But before I do that, does anyone have any questions about what I said so far? Okay. Okay, I will carry on. I hope you're now looking at.
Brendan,
Yes.
I'm in the same room as Paul. He had a question. I thought he'd unmuted. So go on, Paul.
I was asking whether you can put the dollar sign on the currency figure there closer, because it's it feels that one. Yeah.
Yes, you can. This format puts the dollar sign at the left-hand side. It always puts it right over there on the left. So if I make the column less, you can see that the dollar sign just stays at the left. And if I make it right across to the right, then it will still stay right over there, or on the extreme left. But if we look at the format of this $73.50, you can see that the format I'm using is one called accounting. And accounting is set up to show the dollar sign right, on the extreme left. If we choose currency, which is still good for showing money, I think this will come up with the pound sign, but this puts it right next to the number. So if we use the accounting sign, it's the accounting format, it puts the currency sign on the extreme left. If we use the currency format, it puts the pound sign next to the number. And those are if we're just using the standard provided formats. In fact, we'll be looking at more sophisticated formats, if you like, later. But you do have control over where the pound sign comes, and you also have control over which currency sign to use. But the dedicated accountancy or financial formats. Does that cover your question, Paul?
He said yes.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so any other questions? Okay, then let's move on to look at problems with dates. There are many problems with dates because dates are very, very flexible and they occur often in the data. And I know, because people have told me before, that they can cause a lot of frustration. This is the same date shown in several different ways. The 4th of February, 2022. So it may be that here we have the 4th of February 2022, and we've got it as the day, then the month, then the year in full 2022. Next row down, we have the 4th of February when it's written out. The next row down, we have the same format or very similar form, day, month, year, but this time, instead of having 0402, giving 2 digits to the day of the month and also to the month, we've just got 1 digit. And also for the year, we've only got the last 2 digits, 22. Now this is useful if you want to cram the date up, but it's sometimes can be less clear. Sometimes you want a different format. The next one down is the same as the first one, 0402 2022, but now it is on the left. How is that? The next one down, we've got the date, 04/02/2022, but we've also got the time. The next one down is a particular problem. It's the same date, but this time we have the month first and then the day, and then the year at the end. The next one down is in reverse order. We've got 2022, then the month, and then the day. I've labeled that wrongly. This last one looks very similar to the fourth one, but as we'll see in a minute, the final row is very different. It looks like the date, but actually it's text. Now, if we select all of those and we say, don't format it as a day, as a date at all, just show us the number that Excel thinks about it. We can go and we can select general. And you can see that today's day is 44,596 days since the 1st of January 1990. So although Excel was showing a date, actually Excel was thinking about this number, except on the last line, because on the bottom line, Excel was not even thinking about a date at all. It was thinking of a piece of text. Now, for that line, we're not going to deal with that today. It needs techniques that we will look at another week. But let's go back to see how we can change, how we can do the formatting of the different dates. So first of all, I'll change these all back to what they were. Okay. Now, if we've got a date that looks like 04/02/2022, that's probably the format that we like best. It's very clear, it has the day at the beginning. If that's used for all the formats of the dates and they're one underneath each other, then they will all have the same length, and it'll be easy to look at the dates and to see, to visually compare them. How can we change 04 February 2022 into the first line? Well, we select the text and then we go to we can choose maybe the short date. That might do it. Let's experiment. Okay, that has done it. But maybe we go back to the long date. You can see the same date, but different formats. Or we can go to the format cells dialog. If we choose the date here, it's already chosen because it's already a date. We can choose one of the many other date formats that exist. Let's choose with full stops instead of forward slashes. It's the same date, but it just looks differently. Let's change that back to the short date. Let's see if we can show that we've now got one which is the 4th of February 2022. What if we only wanted to show just the day and the month? Is there a format that does that? Well, not provided for us, but if we go to custom, so date gives a lot of different versions, but if we want to do something very specialist, we can go down to custom and we can look for a date one down there. When we get close, we'll go to this one. That's what we've got so far. And we'll get rid of the years. Now we've just got day and month. And we've got 4th of February. Now, you may not want that very often, but you may find it in your data and not know how to deal with it. Well, the way to recover it is to take it back to short date. Now, what's going on with this one? Because we've got the short date, we've got 04/02/2022. It's already saying the right thing, but it's just in the wrong position. Now, what's happened with this is that it's the right date in the right format, but if we look at the alignment position on the ribbon, it's been formatted to align left. We could move it to align center. More likely, we'll want to align it to the right, to the center, to the left. If you come across one that's to the left, one of the early things to try is, can you just either remove that alignment or to align it to the right and force it to go to the right? So you've got this alignment may be what's causing your problem. So we'll undo that and it goes to the position we want. Here we have again the 4th of February 2022, but now we've got this unwanted bit here about the time. Certainly you'll see this in a lot of forms which come in from Kobo. They have a time as well. You can't edit that by going in and trying to delete the rows. You have to deal with it by going to the format that is showing and just choosing the long date. Now here is a particular problem, the next one down. It's the same date, but it puts the month first. February the 4th, 2022. And if we change to short date, that may solve a problem. In fact, it has solved it on this occasion. But what is the underlying problem? Why is that cell? Why is it showing the month and the day the wrong way around? Well, the main reason is if we look at the number formatting dialog again, and it's not hidden in the date section. It's hidden in the problem is hidden in the locale section. That is the location. And you can see that although the language is set to English, it is set to United States English. And in the United States, they like to put their dates that way around, with the month first. So if we change that from English in the United States to English in the United Kingdom, and then you could try all these other Englishes as well. I don't know what happened there. If we go to the English in the United Kingdom, then suddenly it turns around the other way and it puts the day at the front and then the month and then the year. You may guess that this is the next section down is, let's see, we'll look at the number format that's hidden there. It does have, it's the English in the United Kingdom, that's right, but we've chosen a format, year first, and then the month, and then the day. If we want the short date, then we would go up here and click on this format here. So we've been able to change all the original different formats that we found, all into the same format. So they all now arranged, they're all aligned to the right, compare them easily. So what about this bottom one? Well, we can format it as a date. It's already formatted as a date, but can we make it, can we change it to a different date? A different type of date? No, it just is unresponsive. Nothing happens. Even if we go to the number format and we change it to with full stops, for example, nothing happens, because although we are trying to change the way that Excel shows a date, in Excel's mind, this is not really a date. It's a piece of text. It's just a 0 character and then 4-character and then a / and then a 0 character. It's just written there as a date, as a piece of text. These can be very troublesome to identify and also to correct. But there are ways of doing it, and we'll look at that another week. It needs a bit more careful looking at. So, any questions about dates of these simple types?
No, thank you.
Okay, let's go on to girls' names. This is at the heart of what we do at Crane, or what you do at Crane. Because in order to be able to identify who the data refers to, we need to identify who the girl is. And that means writing down their name. Now, I've got 2 columns here. The first column is how the name should look. These are names that I've taken out of some downloaded data from last year. And on the right is how the names were actually presented in the data. Now, the fact that it's showing yellow, the second column is showing yellow, means that there is a difference between the left-hand column and the right-hand column. There is a small difference. And because there is a difference, Excel will not be able to say that it's the same girl. And that's a problem. Because what we want to do is, if the name is the same, then Excel will say, yes, this corresponds to the same girl. This is the girl who lives in this village, and this is the girl who got this score, and this is the girl who needs protection on the way to school. But if Excel cannot identify that the same girl is being referred to, then the data does not fulfill its purpose. So for us, the challenge is, can we spot what is wrong with the second column? Now, in this second column, the only thing that is different is that there is an E missing. So if I edit it and put the E back, it turns blue. Because now the 2 columns are the same. But sometimes it's difficult to see what the problem is. Can someone tell me why, with Nanosi Lydia, why is the second column different from the first column?
Nanosi, there is a space.
You are right. There is an extra space between Nanosi and Lydia. There are 2 spaces where there should be 1. And if we get rid of it, then Excel tells me, yes, they are the same. Okay, Nasanga Shilat. Why is the second column different from the first column?
A space in front.
Now we have a space in front. We expect a space in the middle, but we don't expect a space in the front. And we can edit this and it becomes right. Okay. Why is Nasali Goretti different from Nasali Goretti?
Is there a space after on one of the...
Go to the top of the class. There is a hidden space at the end. If you click in this bar here, in the editing bar, can you just see, it's very small, but can you just see that there is a space there at the end? Now, all these problems are ones that come up in the data very often, and they can be very difficult to spot because you may have 5,000 names, 10,000 names in the data. And looking for them, if you just look through like this by hand, is very difficult. Okay, Nabunya Betty. What is different between Nabunya Betty and Betty Nabunya?
Names altered.
The names are swapped around, yes. Now, I don't know what the convention is in Uganda. In England, we usually put, if a name like Betty would be a first name, and we would call the Nabunya the last name or second name or surname. So we might call Betty the given name or the first name or the Christian name, but we would normally put it in that order, Betty Nabunya. But from my time working in Africa, I know that different parts of Africa have different customs, and some people prefer it one way round and some people prefer it the other. Some people don't even mind which way it is at all. But for Excel, we need to be consistent. I don't mind which way round we do it, but we do need to do it the same way each time. And we will have more discussions about which is the way we would like to choose. Okay, now we're now looking at Maria Nakaliza. This is actually a surprisingly common issue with the data. What is the problem here?
Solomon says in the chat, R and L.
Yes, in Maria and Maria. In languages, there is no difference in the way that you pronounce them. And so there is no difference in the way people write them. They just put an L or an R as they like. Well, they are free to do so. But if they do, Excel will not understand it. If we change the L to an R, now they match. There is a similar problem in a way with this next one. The what is the difference?
Hope says double J.
Double J. Single letters and double letters. It doesn't make any difference to you if the way that you write your letter for many reasons, the way that if you're just signing a letter or whatever, everyone know who you are. But for Excel, Excel can do many things very fast. It does not have any intelligence. It cannot say that Nampija and Nampija are the same if they have a double letter or a single letter. Even on the next one, the difference is only whether it's a capital letter or not. And in the last one, the difference is whether all the names, all the letters, Nakisitu, Lillian. Now, all of those kinds of differences are very common in the data. And there are a number of ways of dealing with that. The first way of dealing with it is if you sit down and you go through 5,000 names and you check each one that it is written in the correct way. That is a really slow way of doing it. And life is too short to do it like that. The second way is to get Excel to make many of the changes that you would like. And you can tell Excel to take out all the extra spaces, or you can tell Excel to put a capital letter on the front of each name. It's a lot quicker. That's very helpful. And we will look next week or in another week at how to get Excel to do that. And that will help very much. The best way is if all the names are put in properly at the start. And that is what I hope we will also look at. And that is another way. It's one of the advantages of using Kobo Collect because we can tell Kobo Collect only to accept names that are in the correct format. Okay, let's go to organizational name problems. Here is a list of names of organizations. Just trying to work out where to put my bar. Okay. There's a lot of names here. And they're the names of organizations. And you can see immediately there is a problem, the same kind of problem we've had before. These are arranged alphabetically. Why is Bugabo the first name? Why has it come in front of African? Well, because it's been entered with a at the front. So has Kampala Baptist Church, so has Mifa and Midel and New Hope. They've all got spaces at the front. And so when Excel looks at it, it says it's got a space at the front. This is a bit of text with a space at the front. I'll put it alphabetically before African. Now, then let's now look down at these ones here. These are separate names in the list of organizations. African, African Hearts, African Hearts, African Hearts Community Organization. Again, it says African Hearts Community Organization, but every time Excel looks at these, it sees something different. Now, as humans, we can look at this and see, we guess that actually African Hearts Community Organization, all of these are the same. But Excel does not see them as the same. It sees them as different because every one is slightly different. This one, I can't see the difference between these two front ones here. My guess is there's a space after African Hearts. This one here, I think there are two spaces. This one here has multiple spaces in between hearts and community and organization. And it looks like there's something else going on. Maybe there's spaces at the end of this one. Yeah, there's a space at the end. Each one is different. And yet here's one with a full stop and spaces. Here's one, maybe this one's got more spaces. I don't know what is different with this one. But Excel is saying that every one of these is different from all of the others. And we've got African Hearts. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. I give up. There are many, 30 different ways of writing African Hearts. Now, that is all clear to us. We can read that and say it's the African Hearts Organization. But from the Excel point of view, and when we come on to doing the analysis, how many girls are at African Hearts? Excel will say, well, there are 3 girls at this first African. There are 7 girls at African Hearts of the second kind. There are 4 girls at African Hearts of the third time. And that is not helpful to us. All of these should say the same name. We can go through and edit each one if we can find them. That will take a long time. We can use various techniques within Excel to change them automatically. Well, that is much quicker, but it does require some skills. Or we can when we collect the information, we can only allow correct answers to be put in. So you choose an organization rather than typing it in. That's to do with the design of the Kobo Collect forms that we use. So this is a very brief overview of Excel data types. always text or numbers. Problems with dates, just give an indication of how that can be dealt with. Problems with girls' names and how Excel reads them, and the need for data and for reliability and accuracy. And a similar problem with organizational names. We do not have the time to do it, to edit everything by hand. So next time, we will look at how to use Excel to clean data and how that will make things, what we can do something in 10 minutes, which would otherwise take 3 days. It's a useful technique. It's not the most important, even that is not the best way of having clean data. We'll look at other techniques later, but next time we'll look at using Excel. Our time is up. We'll stop the Excel now. And does anyone have any comments about how this is coming over? Is this at the right level, or any particular questions that you'd like me to address in future? I see some chats have come in.
Thank you, Brendan. I'm imagining that Julie, who has manually cleaned this for some months before learning new tricks, is rejoicing because now her colleagues understand her agony. Very excited about seeing next week how we clean it. Does anybody have any questions, comments?
Just to make a comment that maybe with the date problems you went through, for example, one thing that I personally had found a problem is like when other people have filled in the data, if they've got the wrong format, but then you don't necessarily know it's a date that could be reversed either way, you don't know. You have to work out by context what is right, and that might be the case for other things as well.
Yes.
I don't have an answer, I'm just making a comment, really.
Yes, I think with the dates, that's a very good point. Dates are problematic for that reason. And it may be that you put a date in one order. For example, you might put a date in day, month, year, but it then appears as month, day, year. Excel will swap the day and the month round because of that, the location issue that I mentioned. Many computers arrive set up for use in the United States. And if that is the case, then they will automatically swap things around. So the first thing I would look at, if that was a persistent problem, was to make sure that the location was always English, United Kingdom. But I take your point. It's a difficult one to deal with that. Okay. Any particular questions to deal with in future? Or any problems with hearing or seeing today?
All good.
All nice, clear.
Okay. And the sound was all right?
Yep, sound was good.
Okay. I can't do much about appearing younger and more handsome on the picture, but you'll have to put up with that.
Brendan, thank you
Okay.
very much. We look forward to next week.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.